Hey, it's Diana of Cauldron and Craft. It's time for my first harvest of 2026, which is my potatoes. It's kind of unfortunate how sad potatoes look when it's time for them to harvest. The good thing is it's easy to tell when they're ready because they look like they're dead. The bad thing is they look like they're dead, whereas my tomatoes, I'm sitting here in front of my tomatoes, they just look so lush and green. So that's why I picked this as my backdrop. But it's time to harvest. Super excited. Last year I got 11 pounds of potatoes out of my community garden plot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I got this year. And I'm gonna do a garden to table. So as soon as I harvest these, I'm gonna take them home and I'm gonna make them for dinner. And I think that'd be a really fun um, way to celebrate the harvest, first harvest of the summer, and well, technically still spring. And I'm gonna make a recipe I've never made before, which is smashed potatoes. My family likes Yukon Gold potatoes. That's what I grow. And we eat a lot of roasted potatoes. So chop them up, roast them in the oven, or put them in the air fryer. And we eat that as a side for dinner a lot. But I've never made smashed potatoes where you boil them until they're soft, whole, like you put them in their whole, and then you smash them, sprinkle them with seasonings, and then roast them in the oven. Or you could do air fryer. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do tonight. It depends on the protein I decide to use, which I haven't decided. It's either going to be steak or pork loin. And I've read, at least from what I've seen, the recipes are really, really good because it makes them kind of creamy on the inside and crispy on the outside, which sounds delicious. And it's a good way to use small potatoes. So if you get your harvest, you're going to have some bigger ones, you're going to have some smaller ones. So it's a good way to use up the small ones because you can just throw them in the pot and then smash them and they make nice individually portioned potatoes like as a small one. And then well, I say, and then after I harvest the potatoes, I also need to plant my peppers. They've been sitting in my front yard getting as much sun as they possibly can in my shaded yard. So they're a little bit leggy. Let me show them. So my peppers are looking a little leggy. The habaneros look pretty good. The lighter green leafy ones, and then these other ones, I've actually mixed up um, the labels because I also grew cayenne, serrano, and jalapeno, and some of them have labels, but then not all of them have labels, so I'm not sure which is which now. So I guess it'll be a surprise. So I'm going to plant these where the potatoes were. And here is the potato bed. There's also onions in this bed that I need to not disturb. And there's also dill, which I planted as a companion for the potatoes. And I would like to keep the dill here. This dill has bolted, but it brings good beneficial insects. And this one is about to bolt, but it hasn't quite yet. So I would like to not dig those up, but I have to be able to dig up the other ones. And it looks like I might have ants in here, which is not awesome. And I've also planted some other flowers in the corners, those free bulbs that I got that I mentioned in a previous video. Um, so I'd also like to not disturb those. And then I have weeds that I probably need to, even though they're not in my bed, I probably need to get rid of them. So got a lot to do, and it looks crazy now, but I think once I pull up the yellowed plants, it'll make it a little bit easier. But knowing where the stems are is also good for knowing where the plants, like where the potatoes will be underneath it. So let's get started. And I forgot my gloves, so this is also going to be interesting, especially knowing that there's ants in the bed. Okay, since I don't have my gloves and there's ants everywhere, I'm going to try to lift out the potatoes with a fork. And I also brought a shovel just in case. So let's see how that goes. I want to be super careful that I don't actually damage any potatoes. This is so much easier than how I did it last year, which was digging. This is my harvest, which I'll weigh when I get home. It looks a little less than last year. And then the fork method really helped it go fast. I did accidentally puncture a couple. I think that'll be okay. I did find a grub in the ground which eats plant roots. And I did find a couple potatoes that were like mushy and like seemed a little bit eaten. So that could have contributed to why I had a smaller harvest and have dirt on me from just wiping my face and stuff. So now I need to plant the pepper. So I'm home from the garden and I just weighed my potatoes and I got 13 pounds. That's 2 more pounds than last year. And I'm really surprised because I mentioned that I was worried about pests. I found a grub, and overall, maybe because it went so fast that I just didn't feel like I had a lot of potatoes. But, well, now I will say that's including the weight of the tub itself. I didn't like take out the potatoes, weigh the tub empty. So maybe it is like 11, 12, but still to get at least the same amount that I got last year is still really good. So I'm ready to pick out my small ones to use for this recipe and wash them up really good, throw them in the boiling water, and we're going to let them soften. And then once they're soft, put them on the sheet pan, smash them with the seasoning, throw them in the oven. I have my pork cooking in the crock pot because I decided to make it with that instead of steak. And if I had made steak in the oven, then I would have done the potatoes in the air fryer, which you can do that. Just with my limited counter space and limited plugs, I don't like doing multiple small appliances. It's either oven plus crock pot or oven plus air fryer, like just to kind of split it up. Um, so let's pick out and wash our potatoes. Okay, I've stopped at about 1.9 ounces because this feels like a lot of potatoes and enough for my family of 3 that I'm cooking for. So I'm gonna wash these off. Okay, the smashed potatoes have been cooling off while I finish the rest of dinner. So now it's time to do a taste test. They're very crispy. Mmm. So they have the crispy skin like a baked potato and like the creamy inside. So it's like almost like a mini baked potato that you can just hold. Very crunchy. I like it. A little bit more salt. I measured with my heart and didn't lead me quite far enough. But I think this is a really fun recipe to use small potatoes. And there's something so magical about cooking something that you just dug out of the ground. Like, that's magic. Like, that's garden magic at its absolute core. And I'm thrilled to have my harvest. Nix is begging, no, you can't have this. This is for me. You can't have this. I'm sorry. Um, I think this would be a fun party food, but overall, I think this is a great kickoff to the summer harvest season. Soon I'll be harvesting onions and garlic. Those are going to be my next 2 big things. And then my tomatoes have already started putting out little flowers. I saw some like little mini green tomatoes already, which it feels so fast because some of those tomatoes were behind. I felt like I was so behind schedule. So to see them already flourishing is so encouraging. And if you made it this far, please consider giving the video a thumbs up to help it reach other people who also might enjoy it. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.